Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar hosted by SEP Software. I'm Richard Yeager, Marketing Manager for SEP, and today I'm joined by Lanai Bain and Shane Brown. Lanai is the Vice President of Business Development for SEP and is responsible for North American business development and channel partnerships that align with our strategy for business continuity, backup, and disaster recovery. Shane is our Senior Technical Support Manager, and he's been with SEP for several years. He knows the way around the software and can answer any technical questions you may have. Today we're going to give everyone a brief overview as to what we do and dive into a demo of our software in a Citrix environment. Feel free to ask any questions along the way. There will be a couple of Q&A sessions throughout the webinar, so please don't hesitate. Without further ado, let's kick it off to Lanai and get started.
Hey, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedules to join us today. I know you guys are very busy, and we definitely appreciate your time. Just a brief overview of SEP. We started about 20 years ago. Actually, it was closer to 30 years ago, but we've been in backup for the past 20 years. So we started in Germany as a production automation company. We were commissioned to write some custom code to back up some mission-critical data for some of our current accounts at the time, Alcatel and IKEA. And after a little while, we realized that it was very effective. It was code that was very well written, very efficient, so we decided to split the companies and bring that to market as a backup and disaster recovery product. So it's been on the market for about 20 years now, and we just entered the U.S. market about 5 years ago. So still somewhat new to the U.S. market, however, we do have a very fully developed and tested product. I like to start out with the minimum requirements for SEP. The real reason is because it's quite impressive, I think. The entire SEP program is 54 megabytes. And so by showing the minimum requirements, it really goes to show how well the product is written, how well it works, and just the fact that you can put it in pretty much any environment. 1 gigabyte of memory. We need Java to operate the management interface, the GUI, which is cool because we can have that be fully cross-platform. It can run on any operating system that supports Java. And as far as hardware goes, we're not limited to one operating system or to specific hardware. We can really install the product on any operating system as far as Linux, Windows, or Unix. So why SEP? Why would someone be interested in using our product compared to another product? We really have three main principal concepts that we focus on to answer this question, and a fourth that's kind of thrown in at the end as an added value. So I think first and foremost, the main thing that we focus on is offering one solution for an entire enterprise. We've found over the years working with lots of different customers and companies, organizations, that a lot of folks have more than one solution in place to meet their needs. So a lot of the times we will see a solution in place for Windows, a different solution in place for Linux, sometimes a sort of a niche product in place to handle virtual needs. And so because we're able to support such a wide range of products, we can really help those organizations kind of consolidate everything down to one solution, have one central management interface to access everything, and really just simplify the entire backup and disaster recovery process. The second main thing we focus on is performance. We use multi-streaming technology, and that enables us to back up multiple streams of data to a single media at the same time. There are several other companies that kind of say they do that, and there's several other competitors that actually do that. However, the performance that we see is a lot higher than what those folks are seeing with their backups. And third, we focus on reliability. The laws in Germany are a lot different than the laws in the U.S., obviously. And one of the most important laws that's applicable to us is in Germany, if we as a company tell another company that we're going to back up their data, we actually become financially responsible for that data. Unlike in the U.S. where you have a screen that pops up. It says, it's a huge disclaimer, and it says, yes, the software should work, and if it doesn't, we're sorry, and you hit OK. In Germany, that's completely different. We actually do become financially responsible for that data. So what does that mean? It means that we have a user receives a notification that a backup was successful. You can really be 100% sure that that backup is going to be there in full in the file it says it is 100% of the time. And then fourth and finally, kind of an added bonus, not one of our core things that we focus on, but something that we feel is also important is our cost. The cost of our software is about 40% of industry average, so we have a very quick ROI. Definitely unique. As far as product integration, this kind of falls along the lines of being able to support an entire enterprise with one solution. So here's just kind of a highlight of some of the more popular operating systems, applications, databases, and virtual technology that we support. There's quite a bit more that is supported besides this. This is just kind of a general overview. So getting back to the one solution for the enterprise concept, because we have a very powerful Java-based GUI, we're able to stack those. They're stackable, they're unlimited, and what that means is you can place those in any location that you want. So we can put those, the GUIs on workstations. It doesn't matter if they're physical or virtual. We can put them on the main server itself, and basically any GUI that is granted access will have full control or limited control based on the permissions over the backup environment. So, for example, we have customers that manage backups in 30 or 40 different countries, all from a single management interface. Some of the other cool features, you can customize and save different layouts in the GUI for quick and easy use. Here's kind of a general diagram what a backup infrastructure could look like and how some of these concepts are applicable. So on the left-hand side, you can see the yellow circle number 1. That's going to be the main SEP server. And in the picture, we have some locally attached disk. We can also back up to a SAN. So you can see that there's a SAN environment there. The other various servers that are connected to that SAN environment, we can back up either through the main backup server going across the LAN, or we could back those up directly to the SAN if there's a direct connection. And that would obviously keep that network traffic off of the LAN and direct that directly to the SAN. We also, moving to the right, we also have a virtualized environment. So we're able to fully support virtual environments. Again, those can be backed up directly to the SAN, or they can be backed up over the LAN. We also have cloud capabilities, so we can back up to or from the cloud. So we can actually push data to the cloud as a backup target, or in some cases, we have customers that have deployment of SEP in the cloud, and they're pulling data from various locations to the cloud. So there's a lot of different ways that can be set up, but the main point is, full cloud capability, whether it be a public or private cloud. As far as going through firewalls, we're able to function through multiple firewalls, and believe we only need 2 ports open to do so, which also is somewhat unique. I know some of our competitors need quite a few ports open to be able to complete those backups. Moving down to the bottom with the remote site backup, there's quite a bit of functionality as far as managing remote locations. So we use what we call a remote device server to manage those remote locations. So we can have attached storage at those locations. We can have copies of backups at the location, so we could back up to disk. We could also migrate that data off to tape and have those tapes taken off site. We could back it up to disk, and then migrate a copy of that back to a main data center, and also migrate a copy of that off to the cloud. So features and functionalities are there. It really just depends on the user and how the user wants to see their backup infrastructure configured. Moving on to performance, I just want to touch on the multi-streaming technology because this is something that has a huge impact on pretty much every customer that we work with. Some of the main differences, obviously, are that we can back up. We can kick up multiple backup jobs at the same time. So we can have multiple streams running. And this ranges anywhere from about 5 streams on our entry-level server up to 250 streams on our enterprise server. And we have the capability of basically going up to an unlimited amount of streams. And so it's a little bit different ideology of how backups are scheduled and how they run. But it's quite a bit easier. So instead of scheduling certain servers at certain times or certain groups at certain times or tasks, we're actually able to just basically start all of our backups at the same time. And SEP is smart enough to figure out which servers are going to back up at what time in an optimal way to get the best performance. So, for example, we have one customer that kicks off a backup task that has 1,100 servers that all start backing up at the same time, and that's one of several tasks that they have. So you can see that scales out very well. It's very efficient, and I think we have some examples here, just of a couple of the things we've been talking about, but also the multi-streaming. So. Just kind of some actual real-world customer results to put what we're talking about into perspective. As far as the one console managing many remote locations, Vodafone in Europe is the parent company for Verizon. So they have us rolled out to 1,500 locations, and over the next year and a half, I believe they're rolling us out to another 4,200 locations. So just kind of goes to show how you can manage all those a lot of different locations very easily from one management interface. As well, the Guardia Civil in Spain, they're pretty much the equivalent of the FBI in Spain, have us deployed at 450 sites countrywide, which is their entire IT infrastructure. More locally, the U.S. National Archiving and Record Administration had us take over their enterprise email system about a year ago, and when we did that, all we did was set everything up, configure the backups, and their backups went from over 6 days to under 11 hours. And again, that's simply because of the multi-streaming, how the streams are interwoven, algorithms that we use. It's very efficient. Port of San Diego, very similar experience. They went from their backups were taking over 100 hours. They were having errors. They would rarely complete successfully, and it was basically, they described it just kind of as a babysitting project, trying to get their backups to work. And so after our installation, we did a full backup, and the full backup, we had every single server backed up in under 4 hours. So they went from over 100 hours down to 4. Also notably, their Oracle backups decreased from over 4 hours down to about 42 minutes. And that was something I think they were more impressed about that than they were about the overall backup window decrease. Similar results, Esron, they're in the Netherlands. They make all the satellites for the European Space Agency. And their backups went from 4.5 days down to 4 hours. T-Systems uses us in various remote locations, and also at their main data center, where they back up several thousand servers at the same time. German Customs Police, similar to Border Patrol or Department of Homeland Security in the U.S., uses us across the country. Also, Public Works of Canada manages their infrastructure in 42 remote locations across the country, just using one central management interface console. Just some kind of another quick, interesting comparison that touches on the multi-streaming. We were invited to do a qualification for a bid for NATO in Brussels, I believe, and some of the results we thought were pretty amazing. The initial requirements were to back up 8 million files in under 4 hours. And so there were 11 or 12 companies that were invited to participate to qualify. And after running tests and doing some benchmarking, there were 4 companies that qualified total. One had just right over the minimum at 8 million files. Another one had 10 million, and a third company had 11 million. And in that same time, we were actually able to back up 72 million files. So that just basically for us was a great benchmark to kind of show how we stack up against the competition, how our multi-streaming functionality is more efficient, and basically just to highlight that performance. Some additional features of SEP that I think are fairly important. We do have Archive built into our solution that uses worm technology, so it's basically just a couple clicks of the mouse and creating a Archive data store and backing up to that. And so that's file level Archive will not allow users to delete or modify, change, or anything. Any of the data that's there. We also have deduplication, which obviously reduces the need for more expensive storage devices. And one of the main things that I think is very important about the product is we use all generic drivers. So that basically means we support all hardware and all different types of media. So basically any type of media that's recognized by the operating system, we can back up to. So that makes the product very flexible, makes it so that we can, basically work with any company or organization. People don't have to go out and fully update their entire infrastructure to implement the solution. They can just use what they have, what's existing in their environment, and also gives people a lot of options for growth in the future and really enables people to kind of go in any direction that they want moving forward. They're not locked into certain specifications or types of hardware or software that they need to stay with. Also have bare metal capabilities for Linux and Microsoft servers, and also for Microsoft workstations. And we can also use the bare metal option on virtual machines as well, which gives us some pretty cool features and functionality to migrate between physical and virtual and do some pretty cool things there. Just real quickly, just touch on some of the more popular databases and things that we support. So Oracle, full support for Oracle. It's all supported via RMAN. One instance that we have, one example, and I think it's probably the largest Oracle database we back up, but it has 2 petabytes worth of data in it. So we were surprised when we saw how much data was in that one database. But successfully backing that up, getting great speeds, works very well with Oracle. Here's just kind of an overall diagram of what that backup process looks like. Also have support for NetApp, so we have a direct connector with NetApp, so that's fully supported. And we're actually able to achieve faster speeds backing up on NetApp using an alternative to NDMP, which we think is pretty cool. We're seeing about 4 to 6 times the speed that I think folks are normally used to using NDMP. Again, just a quick diagram of what that backup process looks like, connecting to NetApp. So we have full support for Exchange. The Exchange is VSS aware and also DAG. We have single email or single user restore capabilities. So it gets down to a very granular level and gives the user quite a few options as far as whether restoring to the exact same instance of Exchange, restoring to other locations, etc. Full support for MS SQL. It's VSS aware. There's point-in-time restore. We can also do cross restore among databases and some other pretty cool stuff that's all included in the online license for that. We've worked with SAP for a very long time. We actually have the highest level certification of any third-party vendor for SAP, so very well integrated solution for SAP. We also support all of Novell's products. This is something that I think is a little bit unique. There's not many backup software companies in the world that still support Novell, and that just goes into part of our overall concept of supporting pretty much everything under the sun, so that no matter what somebody has in their environment, they can rely on SEP to cover everything. And also, the latest OS added to our lineup is Mac OS, so we're also now able to support Mac, whether it be servers, desktops, or laptops. We can support all of this. So I mentioned it before, but we'll just touch on it again real quick. One of the cool things that we can do is LAN-free backup, and basically just backing up from servers over fiber or iSCSI directly to a SAN. This is great for larger enterprises that have 24/7 operations, so we're not taking up the bandwidth and taking up the local LAN bandwidth with backups. We can just direct everything directly to the SAN and have very quick and efficient backups. And we can also see some pretty good performance increases using this methodology as well. Just a quick overview of possible scenario of what that could look like backing up to SAN. So we can back up to multiple different SANs at different locations. We can replicate between those SAN environments, whether those be in the same data center or in remote locations, and also migrate data from those SANs off to tape, off to the cloud, off to wherever someone would need another copy of the data. So getting into virtual technology, which I'm sure is what we are pretty much all here for today. We support all the major hypervisors and virtual technology on the market today. So Citrix, Zen Server, VMware, and also Hyper-V. So as far as Citrix goes, we'll get into a little more later, but we also have support for Zen Desktop and Zen App as well. One of the cool things that we're able to do with Citrix Zen Server is, I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever had a VM go down or blown one away intentionally and brought it back up. But if you have and you've been using Windows, you probably know that you have to enter in your Windows product key code when to reactivate that server when you go to bring it back. And so one of the things that we've done is solve that problem of the activation loss, so that if you do bring back a Windows server, it just automatically is restored, keeps the same UID, same MAC address, and is restored in the exact same fashion that it was previous. So also, you don't have to go in and relicense any third-party software that's on that VM. So in certain environments, especially hospital environments, places where there's some pretty strict SLA requirements, it can be very useful. So all of these modules are agentless. We connect directly with the Citrix host or the VMware host. It basically gives you a list of all of the hosts and auto-populates all of the virtual machines that are on each host. And if you have HA enabled, then it will track the movement for any of those VMs between any host. And again, that's something that we'll kind of show you firsthand when we jump into the live demo portion. Overall concepts of how we do those backups: we create a LVM snapshot, we mount the snapshot, back it up, unmount it, and then delete the snapshot. So pretty simple. SEP or Zen Now is multi-node aware, so we can access multiple Zen server pools, and we can also back up and restore between those pools as well. We can also use the automatic restore capability that's built into SEP to schedule automatic restores, so we can have a backup run, have an automatic restore, and basically just create a warm standby. It can be at the same location or a different location, and just basically, offers the reliability so that if one of the pools were to go down, you can just switch over to the other pool. Everything's up and running. It's current and it's relevant. We do have some new product features that are coming out. We have a new integration with Zen Center, with the Zen Center console. So an admin will be able to have backup and restore options in a right-click window when you click on any of the virtual guests. Also, you can get notifications in Zen Center itself, and then there's browse through and see the different VMs, and you can also create new data stores or media pools, basically to back up the VMs too. So everything's right at your fingertips. You don't have to open any other consoles. It's just very quick and efficient and easy to set that up. And here's a couple screenshots, just basically setting up clients inside of Zen Center. This is what it looks like to just do a right click and start an immediate backup. Here's how you can configure the data stores for additional storage to back up to. Again, different backup options for the VMs, and then you can also right-click and just get schedule details, so you can see exactly what's scheduled, when it's scheduled, just by right-clicking on any of the VMs. Oh, and also, obviously, with the different data stores, you can back up, choose which location you want to back up to for each one. Here's just a quick overview of some of our technology partners that we work with on a day-to-day basis. And that brings questions and answers. So if anyone has any questions and would like to go over those real quick, we can answer those questions while we're transitioning over to the live demo portion. So I'm going to switch over to Shane so that we can start the live demo portion. So we have a question that said, can you elaborate on the licensing model surrounding the threads? And yes, I can. So basically we have 4 different versions of our SEP server. The main component that runs the backup software. And so we have an entry level, a standard, a premium, and an enterprise. And so the entry level comes with 5 streams. The standard comes with 25 streams, the premium comes with 100 streams, and the enterprise comes with 250. And then above and beyond that, we have extensions in increments of 100 streams that we can add on to that if needed. So it's basically, you can select whichever package you think is going to be appropriate. Generally, we would say if you have anywhere from about 8 to 35 servers, we would recommend probably a standard server. Anything from about 35 to about 120, we would say would be a premium, and anything above 120, about 120 to 150, we'd probably put an enterprise license on. So hopefully that answers your question. Have another question here. It says, you talked about hardware and being able to back up to SAN. Can you guys also back up to local disk or tape? And yeah, the answer is yes. So again, we can back up to any type of media that's supported by the operating system. So yeah, we can back up to directly to SAN. We can back up to a SAN over the network. We can back up to RAID arrays or local disk arrays or tape libraries. So all of that is supported. It looks like Shane is all set to go. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Shane. And Shane, if you'd like to get started and tell us what we're going to see, that would be great.
Everybody can see the Zen server, the SEP not Zen console, but the actual SEP server console. And what we're going to do is connect to and back up a server that is in Zen server. So let's go over to the Zen server just so we can see what we're looking at. And we have a Zen server running right here. We can see in Zen Center called Zen server-SEP. We just have a 2008 server running on it, up and running and ready to be backed up. Go ahead and move back to our system console and just review what we're looking at. Pretty simple console, pretty easy to navigate, makes it really easy to learn and actually manage when you're trying to use it. In the components section, that's broken up to the hardware you're using. So the first thing you have is topology, data stores, loaders. Data stores is where your actual disk is. You'll see we have two. We have a test. And the test actually gets created when the install happens. It creates a little test area. It even does a backup of your database. It does a restore of your database just to make sure everything's working during the install. We've created another one, and this is actually on local disk. So the question before, can you back up to local disk? Yes. We created a data store on local disk. It would work the same if it was on the stand. It would actually work fine. We would go to drive if we had it in a tape drive, and we configure the tape drive here. So let's go ahead and go back and look at topology really quick. And topology makes it just so you can logically break out your environment, either by site or by databases, server types that you're doing, virtual servers, whatever you're wanting to do. So it makes it easier for the backup admin to manage. Task allows you to look at the actual task by client, groups, backup plan, and your migration tasks would be if you're backing up from disk to disk, and then going from disk to tape. So that disk to tape would be a migration because you've got your data on disk, you're going to move it to tape. And during a migration, it actually validates every single bit of data to guarantee that it's 100% the same of where it came from to where it goes to. And so we've got our task job scheduling. We'll look at schedules. So we create a schedule for 10 o'clock. And when we add a new backup event to that, we can add 20 servers to this, and actually will optimize your backup based on performance. So it will identify what it's getting for performance and automatically start the servers and grab that information by performance for your thread. If you have some requirements that you need to make sure, the database servers get done first, then you can change the priorities and set your priorities to guarantee which servers will start. But other than that, you don't have to worry about it. You just set it and go. Events will tell you any events that are going to be kicking off for the next 24 hours, so you know quickly, hey, this event's going to kick off soon. I'm going to start a maintenance schedule at 8 a.m. I need to make sure I make any modifications to the backups. And your calendar sheet will actually give you a calendar view, so you can go and say, okay, today, what happened? We've got these backups that happened. We can do a restore. You know if it worked, failed, what's going on quickly, and just by looking at a calendar view without having to figure out, which day was Wednesday. Then we go down to job state, shows us the state of backups, restores, migration tasks that we talked about. Monitoring will show you the last backup state and any processes and drives, the status of those. And logging is going to be your detailed logging that you get when you actually look at text log as far as what's going on. The other just quick piece which we'll be using, drives. This tells you what's going on in your drives in our message test window at the bottom. Performance, we'll be watching performance as we start a backup. And the GUI logging is a detailed log again that tells you everything that's happening whenever you initiate any command from the GUI that you're running from. So let's go into tasks by client. And what we'll do is create a new client. I'm going to close some of these tabs. New client, and the client, of course, is Zen server-SEP. The server is just a Zen server hypervisor. It doesn't have anything installed on it as far as SEP goes. We'll set the identification from Linux to tell it it's a Citrix Zen server. As soon as we do that, you'll notice we get a new tab up at the top. We'll go to the Citrix Zen server tab, and we have to authenticate. So you're going to authenticate to your Zen server environment, and this will actually pull everything in your Zen server pool. So we will go ahead, put in the credentials, and allow it to authenticate. The data mover can be any server in your environment that actually does have an SEP agent running on it. The Zen server does not. What we will identify is our backup server. It, of course, has an agent running on it because it is the backup server. If you have another agent somewhere else, just on another server, you can use that. It just needs to use an agent for communication to get the data back. So say, okay, do you want to create a backup job? Well, yeah, I'll create a backup job for this environment. And we're not going to fill out any information. It will actually autofill, auto-define, set things up for us so it makes it really quick. We can obviously modify anything we have here, but we're just going to hit the button to look at the environment to browse, and we immediately can see our backup server, our host data, and our metadata. Our host data is actually drivers, special config we have for that host, and then the metadata is the data about the server that we're going to be backing up. So we can back up any of these now, or we can just back them up on the backup server itself and just start a backup so we can watch it run. These things are auto-filled. I'm not going to change them. If we wanted to change them, we can go ahead and just put in any information like I specified earlier, and we will say, okay. When I sit here, I'm not going to put it in a schedule. I'm just going to do an immediate start right now. But the same window comes up when you're scheduling it. And it'll ask me the backup type. Copy, full, differential, incremental. I'm just going to do a full backup of this. And then it's going to also identify whether it's a hot or cold backup. The key thing here is what I was talking about earlier, is where you can actually grab the memory state, or you can just grab a backup without the memory state. If you want to grab the memory state, you identify a cold backup, so it actually grabs everything running in memory at the time. That actually will save you a lot of time if you're wanting to do a direct restore, because it saves all the network information for your virtual, all of your licensing information for your virtual, and everything that's running in memory at that moment. And that's pretty unique to this software, that you can actually grab that and not have to re-register, relicense, and set up the network information again for your bot. You can say okay, and it's going to tell you the backup started. Now, we can go down to the job state, which we were talking about before. Look at the backups, and we'll see that the backup is active. We can also then do an auto update, so it will give us information as that backup runs. I already set it to the throughput window down below, so it's going to pull occasionally and go and grab the actual throughput that it's getting for the backup. What we'll see over here on the left-hand side will be the throughput for each server we're backing up. Obviously, at this moment, we're only going to be backing up one server. So we're only going to see one server bar when it grabs it. And then over here on the right side, we're going to see the overall throughput for all backups that are running simultaneously. This is a small virtual test environment, so we're not going to see the same performance as you would see in a production environment, but we will actually be able to see what we're going to be getting on these windows on statistics, so you can actually see what it's going to look like in your environment. The backup itself, obviously, is at this point running. This will take a little bit to run. We're probably not going to sit here and just watch it the entire time. That's not going to be too much fun. But as you can see, pretty quick to set up. We didn't have to install any agents. We just had to make sure we could authenticate to the hypervisor. After that authentication was made, it could see our virtuals, and we, of course, have a backup running at this point. You can see the throughput per server. We had 10 servers here, and you notice that you're getting pretty good backup on 9 of them, but one of them, your throughput is quite a bit slower. You can obviously go and fix any network issues or any other performance issues you're having with that at that moment, and upgrade or fix what has to happen there. And then over here, you can obviously see what we're getting for throughput, about 120 gig an hour. If it was a production environment where we're not actually using the same disk to read and to write, you should get much better performance, because then you're actually reading directly from a server, writing back over to your backup server, and not being bound by the same zip code. Do we have any questions, or do you guys want to see anything any further in here, in this window?
The only thing I wanted to point out, Shane, is this is the same, whether it be same kind of process, and everything looks the same for VMware and also for Hyper-V as well.
Yeah.
So I think obviously we're focusing on Citrix today, but also I just wanted to point out that it looks the same. It's the same features, same functionality, same kind of ease of use as far as setting everything up and all of that.
And we have another test environment that's actually currently in maintenance. It's got a couple things working on. We can definitely look at that just so you can see the windows and how it looks. I have no problems just going through that if you want to take a couple minutes and look at that. Sure. Okay. Let me change my window here. This is another test environment. It's actually under maintenance. We're doing some updates to it right now. But if we look at a new backup task and this is VMware, and it's going to do the same thing. We're actually talking to the vCenter server. When we go here and actually go and talk to the backups, we're going to say, yes, we want to look at VMware, and we're going to do an image level backup of these servers. And it goes out and pulls the vCenter to grab the entire pool. So this is a set of servers, and it's going to take the physical host and actually show every single virtual that's on all of those hosts, so you can see them simultaneously. You don't have to create a different backup or set up a different host for every single one of them. There's a few hosts on this one, so it'll take a little bit to enumerate, but once it does enumerate, again, you can just see all those servers are listed here, and we can go through and just select the server, say okay, and it sets up all of our backup information just like it did for vCenter.
Nice, and I think that's also important too, because if folks are running Zen Desktop or Zen App on VMware, then that cross functionality is also very convenient to back those instances up as well.
Exactly, and obviously in a Zen Desktop environment, we even have a Zen Desktop environment here. We do a new backup task on this guy. We can take a look at the Citrix server again. You can see that your different servers and your backup gold images and all those will actually show up, and you can back up again your host data and metadata. So it works for the Zen Center piece. You can get each of those, the Zen server piece, the VMware piece, and both of those are integrated as you just identified.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
And hey Shane, let's go through real quick and just kind of show what a restore looks like, and just kind of what the restore wizard looks like, because it's really easy just to go through, a couple clicks, and you can have whatever files you need restored. And I'm not sure if you already have some other backup tasks that are completed or not. I don't know if it'll populate if this one's still working, but
yeah, this one's still working, but we can actually just touch on it and look at what's going on. So if we go by client, if we wanted to do a restore from this client, if we do a new restore task, it would come back. It will say, hey, look, we're backing up a Zen server. So it sees our backup that we're running right now. Now, it's not in any state. We can actually do a restore with it. But again, I will just do this really quick. This is a right click, or you can click new restore task. Gives us our task names. We can identify which task we want to restore. We say next, and then it lists all of them. So if we have one that ran today, one that ran yesterday, one that ran the day before, allows us to select which one we want to do a restore. We do a next, and then it'll give us a little window where we want to restore it to. We can restore it directly over top of everything, which is, this is what it's set at. And obviously it's not going to overwrite an existing file, but we can say, hey, overwrite. Or we can do a new restore target, and then we can change what we want it to look at. So you can change the server name and have it restore a second server, so you can actually create a server for testing and upgrade to an application or something.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, that looks great. If anyone has any questions, you guys can go ahead and enter those in. If there's anything else that you guys would like to see while we have this set up right now, we can go through and answer any specific questions or show you guys. Hopefully, if we have it set up in this test environment, we can show you anything that you guys would like if there's anything else that you're interested in. Again, just go ahead and post those in the questions box. And we'll get those answered for you. Okay, so we do have a question that came in. What about single file, basically single file restore? So what if you want to do a restore for a single file inside of VM and not the full backup? So basically in the current release that we have right now, you would need to do there's two options. You could either restore the whole virtual machine and pull that file out, or you could have an agent on that virtual machine and do a single file restore from there. Another question coming in. Okay, I'm not exactly sure the question says. Is that a restore and backup, or just drill down to restore? Shane, ideas?
The restore and backup, if you're actually using the virtual piece that you were talking about to start with, where you restore the entire virtual machine, but it's a drill down option if you have the agent installed on the server, where it's actually grabbing the files, because they're grabbing the files.
Okay, and apologies, I wasn't sure exactly. And I'm also going to switch back over to my screen so that you guys can see some direct contact information. We're more than happy to work with folks on an individual basis. If you guys would like to do some evaluation or some testing, please let us know. And like I said, we're more than happy to help you guys set up a proof of concept or answer any questions that you have. So again, you can email us at info@sepusa.com, or you can call us at 303-449-0100. And apologies, this slide is not cooperating here. So there we go. There's contact information. Please let us know if you have any additional questions. Let us know if you would like to set up a test environment. We can help you with that. Again, we thank you guys for joining our webinar today. Thank you for your time. It looks like we're coming up on an hour here, so we are going to wrap up. Once again, thanks for your interest. We look forward to hearing from you and look forward to working with you in the future. Hope everybody has a great day. Shane, thank you for a great demo. And Richard, thank you for a great introduction. And please join us for our next webinar. We should have another webinar coming up scheduled for our next release so that we can go into some of the new features and functionalities that will be built into that. We'll be highlighting that, and that will be, I would imagine that'll be announced in probably about 3 to 4 weeks. So next webinar focused on Citrix should be probably in about 5 or 6 weeks, I would imagine. Anyway, once again, thank you guys very much. Appreciate your time. Have a great day, and talk to you soon. Take care.